Welcome to Crocker's Crazy Living. Welcome to my kitchen. Today is Wednesday, January 24th. Today I'm going to show you how I'm going to make my beef barley soup. In my pot here, I got some meat drippings from my beef. And I put some carrots in there. I'm going to saute these in the broth. I'm going to cut some celery up here. Just about 3 stalks, and I cut them down a little bit more so they'll be smaller pieces when I put them in the soup, and I cut them down and put them in the soup. The easiest way for me to cut celery is just chop it by hand. I mean, I have all these little fancy cutters and stuff, but it does not. Those do not work well with celery, and I think it's because I don't take the strings out of the celery. Alright, so my celery is going in my pot with my carrots. Just going to bring this, saute these vegetables. I like to saute my veggies a little bit ahead of time because it allows for the cooking process to kind of speed up. Now I'm just taking this is a meat masher. It kind of helps my big chunks of carrots. I like it's not doing what I want. I like usually matchstick type carrots instead of these big old pieces of carrot in my soup, but the store didn't have any. So I'm just going to let that cook for a minute. I'm going to put you on pause. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm just letting my veggies kind of get a head start on cooking here. It's just, like I said, it speeds up the cooking process, so you don't have to simmer your soup for hours and hours and hours. So what I did this morning is actually this process started last night. When I went to the store the other day, I bought a big package of stew meat. Then last night, I took and rolled it in flour and some seasonings, and I browned it. I browned it really well, and then I stuck it in my crock pot pan here, which you can't see, it's off camera. I'm gonna see if I can get some of this fat off. I'm gonna find what did I do with I have a broth separator that separates the grease from the broth. I don't know where it is. I took it to my daughter's at Thanksgiving time. I should probably have it handy. I know fat is flavor, but I don't want my soup to be all kinds of greasy. I'm going to turn this down. So I took my stew meat and I browned it last night, put it in my crock pot here, stuck it in the refrigerator, and then this morning at 4 o'clock I put in my crock pot a box of beef broth stock and a half a carton of vegetable stock because that's all I had, and let my crock pot cook for 6 hours. And so I pre-cooked my meat because I figured that would be the easiest way to throw this soup together tonight and have everything cooked and the meat really nice and tender. That's where I was going for, tender meat. So I'm going to see if I can go find my broth separator. I'll be right back. Yep, I found it. This is a grease separator. You pour, there's a fancy little handle right here that opens up this trap door. The trap door right there in the bottom that opens and closes. And there's a strainer lid, so you pour your juice in here, and it separates the fat from the drippings, and then when you open the bottom, it allows that to go in there, and you don't get all that yucky fat in there. So I'm going to attempt to strain this off. I got a lot of juice. See if I can pour some more in there. I think that's not all fat sediment. That is flour bits that, you know, most likely came off of the meat as it was cooking. Alright, so see how this does? See, the fat rises to the top, and this is all really good broth. So now what I can do is I can pour that straight into my pan, all the way down to where the fat is, see? And I leave that fat in there. Now I'm not sure if I want to keep going with this broth I have. It's super, super rich. And that's the thing. I don't know if I want all that rich juice or if I want to dilute that down a little bit with more beef broth or maybe some water. So my husband and I wanted to make this soup before it gets too hot because, like I said, we had a couple of cold snaps here in Florida. Last weekend was actually the coldest weekend in history down here for this time of year. It was nearly in the 30s at night and quite chilly and rainy and everything. I think I'm going to leave that much broth, and I'm going to put some beef, canned beef broth in it. Lots of stuff. I don't want it to be too rich. I like it. I want it to have good beef flavor. Maybe I should put the vegetable stock in here. I'll use the rest of my vegetable stock that I used this morning. Because why not? I don't want to waste it. There's plenty of beef flavor in this, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. Definitely going to need more liquid for sure. Let me taste it first before I keep adding beef flavored stuff. Because like I said, it's going to have plenty of flavor. I just don't want it to be too rich. It tastes good, but it definitely needs some seasonings. I'm going to put a couple teaspoons of salt, because it doesn't taste like there's any salt in it. Put a good pinch of pepper. I've got to have more broth because I'm going to be putting barley in it. And I'm going to be putting barley in it, and I definitely got to have enough liquid to soak up the barley. Because barley is like rice. It soaks up, it's a grain, it soaks up. So I want to figure out how much barley I want in my soup. Turn this back up a little bit. Let's see. 4 cups vegetable, quick and hearty vegetable beef soup. All right, vegetable barley. So let me see how much barley it says for that recipe. I'll use that as a guide. Three-quarters of a cup of barley. Sadie, knock it off. 3/4 of a cup. Hold on 1 minute.